Bayern and PSG move on to the Champions League final after beating both Leipzig and Lyon for either teams, as well as some transfer news that could change up what's happening in the next season. This is the Football Baron Podcast. All right, let's start off with that Leipzig versus PSG game. Now, Leipzig, I felt that they had a chance. They definitely had a chance against the PSG side. I was still wary about, considering their past misfortunes in the Champions League. But impressive from PSG. Most importantly, they really did do a good deal of damage to Leipzig. I think even Julian Nagelsmann said after the game that when they got that second goal, that his team kind of just were out of it. And I think that's just a factor of the club status compared to PSG and the experience that's in PSG compared to, of course, RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig has more young players who are experienced and who can't really, at this level, semifinals of the Champions League is a major deal for a club like Leipzig because they've never really achieved or arrived to this level. But very, very impressive from them regardless. And I think it's going to be a great fight that PSG should put out against Bayern that's coming up. But speaking more about Julian Nagelsmann after Leipzig got knocked out of that Champions League final, it's just incredible what Julian Nagelsmann has done in his first season at Leipzig. I mean, he came from Hoffenheim, in the Bundesliga and moved on to Leipzig. Of course, they have more resources, but just what he's been able to do, third in the Bundesliga, they looked like they were going to compete for the title, which they did for the first half of the season. But very impressive because, I mean, even after they lost Timo Werner, they pushed past the quarterfinals and reached the semis. But unfortunately for them, they weren't able to reach the finals. But still, very impressive from Julian Nagelsmann. I think that he's looking like a top-class manager, I even say he already is a top-class manager. And I think that there's going to be big moves for him in the future, where he's going to be going to a Premier League club, even a bigger club than Leipzig, because I don't think Leipzig will most likely be able to hold them for a couple more years. Because if he continues his path, which he is, in terms of success, we could really see him moving on to a way bigger club. And I think it's a face to remember, Julian Nagelsmann, because what he's doing at Leipzig and with some of the players and the way he's playing with Leipzig is really incredible. And I think it's going to be looking like a top performance from Julian Nagelsmann as a manager, tactically, and how he manages Leipzig in the future. Also, that Bayern Munich versus Lyon game was a little interesting because I felt like Lyon, despite being the teams that were the weakest, I guess, on paper, compared to the many other teams that Bayern Munich faced, they held up the biggest fight against Bayern Munich. I felt, just looking at the scoreline, first of all, not that big of a scoreline. It was only 3-0, which still is, a good scoreline, but for Bayern, it's not as much as we saw from previous Champions League games, such as Barcelona and Tottenham and Arsenal. But overall, absolutely incredible what they've done with Bayern. Bayern Munich is moving on to the finals after a terrible performance in the first half of the Bundesliga under Niko Kovac, but with Hansi Flick, they've switched it around, and it really is absolutely amazing. But looking at Lyon, they put up a hell of a fight. I mean, just really a lot of early chances where the score was even 0-0. And they really could have been on the front foot, but just missing those chances, and Bayern will punish that, and they did with Serge Gnabry. But looking at Bayern's defense, a little unstable, but David Alaba, just one-on-one, he's very, very strong. I mean, he's supposed to be a left back, but of course, after Alphonso Davies bursted onto the scene, he's moved into the center back role. But David Alaba looking very, very great. As a center back, I see he's really is an incredible center back. Just one-on-one, very, very strong. Reads the game quite well. And just the way he speaks to Alphonso Davies on the pitch, you can see him speaking. He's just perfect for Bayern. And of course, there's rumors that he could be leaving. And I hope that Bayern really tries to hold on to him, because what he's offering to Bayern is impeccable. Because of course, Jerome Boateng, solid game from him, regardless. But he is getting a little slow. Nicolas Schürrle is a great center back that's going to be at Bayern most likely for some more years because of how talented he is. But David Alaba could fill that central defensive defender role just perfectly, and just mentoring Alphonso Davies during this critical period in his development is absolutely important. And I think David Alaba will play a major role in Alphonso Davies' progression as a top class player, because what Alaba is providing is as an incredible center back, really amazing center back, but also that experience, and he can tutor and just really enhance the development that Alphonso Davies is just bursting through. And I think he's doing an incredible job at Bayern, and definitely Bayern should be looking to keep on to him and hold on to him as much as they can. Alongside the Bayern game was, of course, Serge Gnabry. I mean, what a top-class player. Top-class, world-class. I mean, what he's doing at Bayern is incredible. Just an prolific goal-scoring streak in the Champions League and in, of course, the Bundesliga that ended just recently a couple months ago. And it's crazy to think that there's a lot of people who earlier in his career pushed him off, saying that he wouldn't be really meeting a potential that he has, or just wouldn't really be capable of meeting the level that Arsenal expected. And just a very just an unsuccessful spell at Arsenal that wasn't really remarkable, and when he went on loan to West Brom, wasn't really much that happened. But what he's doing now in Bayern is incredible. And I think that he's another one of those players that even after Hansi Flick came in, he's just flourished. And Hansi Flick has enhanced the performances that Serge Gnabry has put in. Even when they had Niko Kovac, Serge Gnabry was incredible. But now he's doing just far, and continuing to do far better than he did in Arsenal. I mean, he's now a world-class player. And I think it's just another one of those cases where a player doesn't really fit a club. And he never really fit Arsenal, it seems. And Arsene Wenger even talked about him after one of those games where he just was on hot fire in a Champions League match, and he said sometimes he looks for the easy way in football. That's what was his problem. He lacked a bit, and that's one of the problems that Arsene Wenger noticed about him. But he did not deny, and even said that his potential and technical ability was absolutely incredible. But very strong from Serge Gnabry and what he's doing this season in the Champions League and what he did in the Bundesliga. And I think he's going to be another one of those stars that Bayern Munich has, and a strong future for Bayern Munich with Serge Gnabry at the club, because he has many years ahead of him. And there's even comparisons to Arjen Robben for what he's doing at Bayern Munich as a superstar. Time to move on to some transfer news. Of course, a player that was at his peak in Manchester City, but then declined quite heavily from there after Pep Guardiola joined and really switched around what was happening in that goalkeeper role. Joe Hart has moved to Tottenham on a free transfer after Burnley. And it's going to be interesting because I see him having the potential in terms of if he can mentally get back in there. I mean, of course, it's got to be tough just being at the top and then just falling quite a long way. And he's even opened up about it and the mental health problems that he's had with it. But if he can get into that zone, I guess, and really push himself back in there, I really do think that he could be Tottenham's number one. And he's even said that he still has a lot more to give. And if he truly means that, and of course I'm not saying that he wouldn't say that, but if he truly means that and is willing to push himself and is able to meet that, I really do see him being as a number one for Tottenham. And I think it's a smart signing from Jose Mourinho because Joe Hart is an experienced goalkeeper, and he will provide a good amount of value to that Tottenham squad. And I think that Tottenham are, of course, trying to get some players who are experienced and can really have a strong squad. And I think that Joe Hart is definitely an interesting and a solid decision because Joe Hart has the ability to perform for Tottenham at a incredible level. And I really do see Joe Hart as a impressively smart signing, but also it could be a little bit risky because in the end, I mean, in Burnley, he didn't really have much to show for, and it's going to be really up to how Jose Mourinho manages the player and how Joe Hart himself reacts to this opportunity he's been given by Tottenham and how he will perform. And, of course, what he can do against Hugo Lloris as a backup. Of course, Jack Grealish was an incredible player for Aston Villa, really one of the key forces in leading them away from that relegation zone and just keeping them in the Premier League for another season. But he's even reported, there's reports that he's willing to move away from Aston Villa this season. And two Manchester clubs, Manchester City and Manchester United, are reported to be interested. And according to The Athletic, Manchester City have shown more interest than Manchester United in Jack Grealish. It's going to be an interesting few weeks or a month regarding the future of Jack Grealish because looking at what the state of both clubs is and what they need for their squads and the financial situation that they're both in, I'm not really completely confident that Jack Grealish will move from Aston Villa because, of course, Aston Villa want a large amount. There's a lot of reports that they want a very, very large amount for the player. And Manchester United needs a defensive player, and they're looking at other players like Jadon Sancho or Dembele. And then there's Manchester City looking to bring in Koulibaly and just fix up their defensive work alongside Manchester United. It's going to be very interesting whether Aston Villa can really... Aston Villa will lose Jack Grealish because I'm seeing that Jack Grealish will most likely stay. If Manchester City have shown more interest than Manchester United, as according to The Athletic, I highly doubt that he will be leaving Aston Villa because of just the state that the clubs are in financially and what they need in their squads. I don't think it's exactly what they need, another attacking player. And I think Jack Grealish will most likely be staying for another season in Aston Villa. And if he puts in those same performances, he's probably going to be leaving next season because just the financial situation of both clubs and what they want in their squads. I don't think Jack Grealish will fully fit into that. And the price tag that Aston Villa has put on Jack Grealish is far, far, far too high for those clubs to even be willing to really reach or take on that deal. And unless another club comes out of nowhere to take in Jack Grealish, but those two clubs, I don't really see them taking Jack Grealish on because the quality that Manchester City's attack already has is, of course, it doesn't hurt to improve it, but I feel like they could use their resources on a better source, such as defenders. Another report coming in from Tottenham is that Jose Mourinho wants Gareth Bale of Real Madrid, back into Tottenham. It's definitely an interesting thing, interesting news, rumor, report regarding the future of Gareth Bale. I mean, what we've seen at Real Madrid is that Zidane doesn't really like him that much and isn't willing to play him. And I think Gareth Bale doesn't like Real Madrid, just the way the fans have treated him, the way the manager has treated him, and how he's acted and treated them back is just, it's not a really great relationship, but he's also getting paid so much at Real Madrid. I'm sure Real Madrid want him off their payroll, and it's interesting because if Gareth Bale does leave, I think it will be predominantly for getting more football. If he wants to get more football or if he wants to just finish out his contract and whatever money he has left on there, that could be another thing. But if Tottenham are looking to bring him back in, and the reports are saying that Gareth Bale, Jose Mourinho wants Gareth Bale back at Tottenham, it's going to be interesting because the transfer might be far lower than his market value because, of course, Real Madrid don't want him on that, that the amount, like what his wages are is just absolutely incredible and top, like very, very high. It's just going to be Real Madrid don't really want him. I mean, Zidane doesn't want him. And, of course, Jose Mourinho wants him. But whether Gareth Bale is willing to leave that paycheck to play for Tottenham is something else. Because, of course, Tottenham's situation, they haven't really been looking as themselves a couple of years back, where they were competing for the Premier League title and they were in the Champions League final. They haven't really been at that same level. But whether he wants to play football consistently and regularly and play for a club that he played for a good while is a question that only Gareth Bale can answer. But Jose Mourinho, from the reports, is interested in him. And whether Gareth Bale is willing to use that interest to force a move or get a move is completely up to him. And Real Madrid, of course, will probably be looking to unload him and get off that wage bill. All right, Barcelona's new manager, Ronald Koeman. Impressive transfers that he wants at the club. Of course, Barcelona needs an overhauling. I mean, it's just clear to see after what happened against Bayern. The players in that squad aren't enough. And he's looking to bring some key players that I found interesting. Donny van de Beek. Of course, there's a lot of reports that Real Madrid want him. But it seems that Barcelona, under Ronald Koeman as manager, could be that they're gonna force him and try to get him into their squad than Real Madrid, faster than Real Madrid can. And it's gonna be interesting because, of course, Donny van de Beek was one of the few players that I was a little surprised, like Andre Onana, that he didn't get a move, like Frankie de Jong and Manchester United. They got a move to Juventus and Barcelona. But Donny van de Beek wasn't able to get a move. But there's reports that he's also willing to stay because, of course, he loves Ajax. But if they bring in Donny van de Beek, I think it would be a very solid signing. I think that Frankie de Jong, of course, he hasn't had that an amazing season. But I think, of course, he's adapting and he's just had a slow start. But he will be that top quality player that they want. And with Donny van de Beek in that midfield, I think it's going to be absolutely solid for Barcelona if they adapt, if they have enough time to adapt slowly. And when they adapt, I think that Barcelona will look pretty solid in that midfield with those two. They already have chemistry at Ajax, and they're both on the Dutch national team, and they both have impeccable quality and talent. And of course, I mean, they're trained at Ajax. One of their top players that came out of Ajax, and I think it's going to be an interesting and solid choice. And I think that Ronald Koeman it's a good transfer that they could bring in. But regarding, again, the finances, they're going to have to unload some players. But definitely some players on that squad, in that midfield more specifically, that could be unloaded because of their age and how they just play. Not really what Barcelona needs for the future if they're going to try to get out of the slump that they're in, especially with the three Champions League disappointments back to back in 3 years now. But Donny van de Beek, solid player, great quality, definitely something that Barcelona could use to get back into that groove that they were in, get back into that status that they were in years back, and really try to push towards, of course, another La Liga title or more Champions League successes. And that will be the end of the Football Baron podcast for today. Just interesting transfer stories that we got and some impressive Champions League matches. Of course, I'm really excited for what's going to be coming up for that Sunday Champions League final as well as that Europa League final on Friday. Interesting to say the least. Interesting has been a word I've been using loads in this podcast because everything that's going on is interesting and definitely something to look at for the future. But I hope some of my predictions were right, and if you have any predictions, of course, you can leave it in the YouTube comments below on our YouTube channel. If you don't know our YouTube channel or listening on a podcast app, you can go to the YouTube, go to our YouTube channel by going on YouTube and looking on Football Baron, and our channel will appear, and you can look at our podcast in a YouTube format and clips, which are smaller in format and easier to watch. Of course, if you are on a podcast platform, please subscribe to us, follow us, or like us, and give us 5 stars. It really does help us out. And if you are listening on YouTube and not on a podcast app, please subscribe to us on there as well. Hit that like button and comment below. If you do comment, we will respond. We always respond, and we usually respond quite quickly. Thank you, of course, for everyone listening. We appreciate it. And, of course, everyone, have a great day.